And it wasn't until that men had to define the word, and I sort of thought, well, what is multitasking? Is that something that I don't know about as I'm trying to fix dinner, trying to change a diaper, trying to do the different things with children and get everything sort of taken care of at the same time? And then I realized, well, what they're talking about is what we've always done.
Right,
but they had to
right.
define it because they're used to being left alone to just deal with it and be able to deal with a single issue and have that luxury. And life is not that way anymore, and for men too.
Right.
I mean, this is the reality is that I have a son-in-law who just virtually takes care of all of the responsibilities at this point because my daughter's has a time-consuming job at this point where she's working about 6 or 7 days a week. So
Right.
Tom is taking kids to doctor's appointments and doing other things, and he's a practicing attorney,
Right.
but made those adjustments, and I really applaud him for doing that.
Yeah, that's really, you know, a good point. I do think that roles are changing and families are, you know, rallying behind whoever it is that needs, at that time in their career, needs that support to move forward. I think it's happening now. Much more, people are much more flexible that way.
Yes.
And going with who they need to support in their career.
And it
people
used
take
to
turns.
be, it used to be awkward
Yeah.
for a man to
Yeah.
go to a parent-teacher meeting because he would be the only male in the room.
Right.
And that's no longer
Right,
the case. But if that had happened in the 50s, you'd all be staring at him, say, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
probably even somewhat in the 70s.
Right.
It just, but thank goodness it's different now. That I think for many men that wanted to play more of a role in the family kinds of activities, they probably were uncomfortable at a lot of times. And so I'm glad that's changed.
Yeah, I am too. Well, we've got about 3 minutes left, and
Oh,
I
my
wanted
goodness.
to just ask, I know it goes so quickly, did you have, because I did personally have amazing experiences around the law and affirmative action in the 70s. Did you have any experience with that? Because I did.
Well, no, it was more just the fact that graduating from law school, I was being
Right.
told that by law partners that we don't hire women.
Right. Well, just quickly, I just wanted to mention that in the early 70s in corporate America as well as in government, affirmative action is really what pushed women to break the ceiling of just being in the trenches and the work, down in the work, I don't know, what is it called? I can't even remember the term anymore, but to break the glass ceiling to get into supervision and have a career ladder, be it
Right.
be in government or in corporate, came because of affirmative action, which was basically a law saying, you know, you will have a certain percentage women in these positions because we see you have blocked them from moving forward. And that personally impacted me. I mean,
Well, I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad that opened up doors for you.
yeah, it did. And it's unfortunate, isn't it?
That we had to have that happen,
Yes,
but yeah, but I'm
yes,
glad it did.
yes.
I think our daughters, and I know my granddaughters, I'm going to sit down and have this talk with them to say, let's never go backward. Look at what did happen before and look at the doors that are open for you and make sure to keep those doors open.
Yeah, and the other thing that probably happened a lot, and this was probably in the mid-70s, is there was a lot of support in small business loans for women
Yes.
and minorities. And I think that helped women start and create their own identity at what they wanted to do, and they could get some good loans and get some training and break out of the mold of having to work for someone else. So I think there was a real push for that, and I don't know who was behind that in the 70s, but I think thank you for that
Grateful.
one too. That was
Very
really
grateful.
good too.
Oh, very grateful. You know, it's important that we share these stories because we want young women and
Yes.
men to know this is what went on before and to be very cautious that we don't go backward.
I agree with you about going backward. I think you have to be vigilant. You have
Absolutely.
to be careful. I mean, it gets competitive out there, supply and demand, and you know, people trying really hard to get ahead, but realize sometimes people are so focused on themselves they don't see the bigger picture, and we can sometimes go in a direction where we don't even know until we've gone that far, and then we go, oops,
Yeah.
how did we go this way, you know?
Right.
But having said that, I'm being told we have to kind of wrap it up.
Well, I've enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. So just a quick, I always ask my guests, now what? Now what do you think? Just in closing.
I think we need to get more equality in legislatures, because I think the end result will be better for the people.
Okay, thank you very much. Well said. I agree. Thank you, Cynthia. And
Thank
a
you,
pleasure
Cindy.
serving with you, too, in the
I
legislature.
enjoy it also.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us, and aloha.